Well, again, thank you very much for being here. I invite Jean Parpaillon, who is the chairman of the board and the president of OW2, to give us a few words of introduction.
So, good morning, everybody. I remember when I was a student, I was a real geek and free software zealot. And what was attracting me the free software was the openness. And I feel like everything was possible because I could access source code, documentation, forums, while proprietary software meant tons of documentation, paying documentation. And so finally, the innovation possible with free software was what attracting me in free software. The challenge at that time was mainly about finding a business model, because computing is my job and not only a passion. And I think that this challenge is the main one that OW2 has been addressing from the beginning, and with a certain success. But now that open source software is becoming more and more mainstream, we all see that this ecosystem is facing new challenges, and I want to mention some of them. The first one is standing out from all the open source jungle. If you go on GitHub, you have millions of lines of code and projects. The second one is proving that the quality of open source software is there, and not only claiming it, and also for standing out. And the third one I want to mention is keeping the software ecosystem open for innovation, for users' freedom and privacy. And not only with free software licenses, but with the problem of data privacy and so on. And this is a big challenge. These new challenges, OW2 want to address them today, and we are addressing already them through all the projects you will discover and the presentation you will see during these days. And before giving the mic to Cedric Thomas again, I want to speak about all the key of OW2 that you won't hear about in this presentation, but they are making OW2 successful each and every day. And I want to speak about the management of his team. Selva Lakshmi, Catherine, Olivier Bouzereau, Olivier Lizouna, Martin, Amand, Stéphane Laurière, Etienne, and finally, last but not least, Cedric Thomas. Thank you.
Oh, that was it. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jean, for these kind words. Let me just give you a quick introduction of this this conference. So, first of all, thank you to our sponsors, Orange, Engineering, and Jinx, Activeon, Inria, and Usersoft, and Orange is receiving us here, so we are really appreciative of all the support we're getting from those sponsors. We have a packed program today, so it's not just today, it's 2 days. This morning we will have all keynote presentations. Then we'll move on to a session on the main theme of the conference, which is about addressing the mainstream market. Then we will have some other presentation, and of course, at the end of the day, we'll have the OW2 Best Project, OW2con Best Project Awards ceremony, where we will be giving up our 5 awards, and of course, we will have this party later today. This evening, and tomorrow we will resume, and we will have 2 invited keynotes tomorrow, one from Nginx and the other one from the professor who's going to give us a whole retrospective on Unix, and I hope you will appreciate this. So, talking about 10 years, which we are celebrating this year, it's party time, and we have some surprises for you later this evening on the barge, which is on the river. We will have a professional photographer on the photo call with a screen. We will have an illusionist who will do some close-up manipulation, and has been doing Roland Garros over the last month. So I get he's all now ready and well trained. And then we have a DJ to get some background atmosphere, and of course you will have food and drinks, so I hope you will enjoy that. And talking about 10 years, so 10 years we have to go back to the beginning, and this picture reflects one of the defining moments of of what was Object Web, the repository set up by INRIA, Bull, and France Telecom, and and in fact, that is the moment when the team, the Jonas team, Jonas who was the flagship project around which I don't have the return. Did I do something? Hello? So Jonas was the flagship project of OW2, of Object Web, and then went on to become the main project of OW2. And this picture, the one there you can see, was taken by François Letellier. Oh, my effect is ruined. But anyway, so François there, who was, so I'm not sure whether this picture was taken at Bull or INRIA. That was INRIA, yes. So he was there and happened to take the picture at the precise moment, and I really love this picture. It's one of the iconic pictures we have. And François is one of the 7 persons who were absolutely key in transitioning from Object Web to OW2. So along with Valère Robin from Orange, who's here. Thank you, Valère, for being here. Then I have to mention Jean-Pierre Barbaris of Bull, who will join us later today at the party, and Gérard Giraudon from INRIA, and those 3 literally supervised the whole transition and the launch of OW2. I need to also, of course, to mention Jean-Pierre Lenné, who was in charge at the time, really. I need to mention also Christophe Ney, and I need also to mention Jean-Bernard Stéphanie, who was there. So I hope I'm not forgetting anyone critical and who's going to hate me for the rest of my life. But anyway, I think those were the 7 persons I needed to mention. And talking about Jean-Bernard Stéphanie, this is a slide that we are still using, and that was designed in July 2006, when we were working on OW2, trying to capture the essence of what this new organization, which was not called OW2 yet, would become. So it's a code base that is developed by a community in the framework of activities. All this runs smoothly because it's under the auspices of an open source governance, and we keep our independence because our members pay their fees. And it's still, that's still OW2 pretty much. Of course, with a little bit more than that. And launching OW2, so the name, the name was a code name. So it was like Object Web 2, but then we could do it, and we kept OW2. We launched a contest for new names, and eventually everybody said, okay, well, let's keep OW2. Why not? We got used to it. Talking about contests, we also launched a contest for logos. So this is the logo. You see here the logos that you nearly had, and we escaped. Well, never escaped. So we now have our logo has evolved, but that was quite funny. And you have some of the key documents, the bylaws, and the official declaration, and the official publication, and of course we had to have a seal. So you have we need a seal. So we have a seal. So that's launching OW2 from the legal and making it happen for real. And since then, we've had 56 board meetings, and that involved some more than 90 board members. So talk about open governance. So it's not something that has been captured. We've had a lot of people looking at OW2, looking at the accounts, looking at everything, and that's why I said the management team, when we work, just think you probably have 70 to 100 people looking over your shoulder. So we better be transparent. And by the way, everything's on the website. So if you spend an hour on the website, you should be able to find pretty much everything. And if you don't find it, we'll publish it. We've also conducted, well, we host some 100 projects, and we try to talk about them. So looking back, we've made or organized over 1,000 presentations, open presentations, at 160 events in 18 countries. So that's pretty much what we've done. And to relate to the main theme of the conference about challenges in addressing mainstream market, you're probably familiar with that curve that shows the the number of users or customers for a new technology, starting on the left with the innovators or the early adopters, and then moving on to the bulk of the market, which we call the mainstream market, which is divided in between the early and the late majority or mainstream market, and then you have the laggards. So when we launched OW2, we were pretty much in the area of the innovators. We didn't really have to prove that much. We were in a world where you had those who ignored and hated open source, and those, or free software, and those who were already convinced. And then we just had to be there. And as they say for some websites, okay, let's build it and they'll come. So we didn't really have to prove a very tangible, we just had to be there, and our benefits were more intangible. And well, we had some success, but today where we are, which is addressing the mainstream 10 years after, some people say open source has won, but the cost of winning is that we are now talking to people who are not open source advocates or aficionados. So we need to convince them, and we need to prove the value. So now it's more a question of show me the money. Let's see what's the ROI. How does it work? How do you convince me? Because not just me, I have to convince my manager that, etc. It goes up all the chain. So we need the whole model, the whole attitudes has completely changed. I'm not saying that we did not have any discussions about what was the value proposal for OW2 at the beginning, but the essence was more that we had to be there, and in 2017, now we have to deliver something. And the service, we're not really a service company, because if we were a service company, we might be in danger of competing against our members, and that's a key rule. We do not compete against our members. But we need to have offer some support to the project, and this support is what is described. I mean, we call it the OW2 process, and that's what is described in the little brochure you have in your bags. Which is on 4 pillars. One is about technology. We need to drive the selection and the build-up of the code base along relevant technologies. Then it's about community. We need to make sure that all projects are run properly, so it's community and governance, really. Then it's about quality. We must ensure and demonstrate that this project of good quality, the technology is right, so we provide the tools for this quality. And of course, it's not just one thing to build the technology, but we need to find the users, so we have to bridge between the developers and the users, and that's what we call the delivery, where that's why we are implementing our marketplace. So that's what we are doing now. So it's a little bit different than it was before. And hopefully we building this on good grounds. We've opened a page of testimonial for the 10 years, so I'm just quoting a few here. One of our morning speakers, Simon Phipps, has rightfully identified that we are, it's a balancing act between free software for the sake of ethical freedom and sharing, and doing business. So I know that OW2 has had this kind of perception that is more, well, we were called consortium, so business, so it's a little bit, we have to find our way there. We nevertheless are a platform now where we support collaboration and work together, people who can work together. We help we drive or we inspire some users, such as the Ville de Paris, to actually put open source center stage in their ID strategy. We even managed to teach a thing or two to university professors out there. So it probably means that we're not doing everything wrong, so we may be doing a few things right. And I know there is one thing that we lack is we're not as visible as some of our great American counterparts, but we nevertheless are a powerful strength in the FLOSS community. We are recognized as a innovator, and kind of visionary, precisely because we managed to understand that, or not managed, we built OW2 on the fact that OW2 is about developing good code collaboratively, but also making a dent in the software industry. We have the European positioning, which is quite strong. So we are European and global. And I like this one too, because Jim is the founder of OpenStack, and recognized that we were one of the first partners, and maybe we counted when they launched what was OpenStack, and we get support from all over the world. So of course we have Brazil as a place where we really have friends and members, and we'll have one presentation from one of our members who came all the way from Brazil, and I will finish on this one. So hopefully, beyond technology and business, maybe as they say in a very flowery way, Chinese friends that may contribute to more brilliant future. So here we go. This is OW2's 10 years. 10 years is celebration, but then it's also an annual conference. So I'm very pleased now to invite on stage our next keynote speaker. If we can change the slides up there. Gabriel Rufati. So Gabriel Rufati is all friends of OW2. He's been the president of the committee and been a long supporter for 10 years now, literally 10 years. And engineering is a very strong member of it. So thank you for being here, Gabriele, and the floor is yours. Thank you.